Hey there, physicists. It's Mr. Clegg to explain the basic carbon cycle here. So in our atmosphere, we have a lot of different gases, and one of them is CO2, carbon dioxide. And plants, as we know, take in the carbon dioxide into their bodies when they do photosynthesis, and that becomes part of their body. It also helps them grow and have energy. So when it gets to be part of their body, it turns into some different kinds of chemicals that are in there. So the carbon is in the plant's body. Now, if the plant dies, that carbon comes back out in the atmosphere. But a lot of time, but instead, if the plant gets eaten by an animal, the carbon goes into the animal's body. So almost all of, well, I don't know about almost all, but a large portion of our bodies are carbon, and plants' bodies are carbon as well. And so when the animal's moving around, it exhales carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. And it also, if it dies, it decomposes and its body turns into releases the carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. So this is the carbon cycle. Nothing wrong with that. Carbon comes out of the atmosphere into living things and goes back. There is other parts to the carbon cycle, but I'm just focusing on this part to give the idea of what's happening here. Now, sometimes plants or animals, after they die, get stuck under the earth and are not able to decompose, so they just get kept down there. So this is how coal forms. It's a very similar process to petroleum or natural gas, is that the carbon gets stuck underneath there. So now we've got all this carbon in here under the ground as coal. And so it's down there instead of coming up into the atmosphere. Now, this happened 100 million years ago. Okay, actually 300 million years ago, the animals and plants were living, and then they didn't decompose. They stayed down there, and that carbon from 300 million years ago is still down there. So the problem is that today we are digging that up and burning it, and so we are adding it to the situation. So now we are adding in another source of carbon that we haven't had for a long time. This is carbon that should have been in the atmosphere 300 million years ago, and now it's going up there now. So that's the problem. If this was all we had, the carbon in and carbon out would be the same, but we're adding more. And so the only way to avoid the worst parts of climate change is actually to stop this. We need to stop burning fossil fuels, and we need to leave them under the ground where they already are. That's the only way to really do it. Another question that came up, some of you might be asking, what about burning wood or other biomasses in order to generate electricity or in order to heat homes and stuff like that? Well, I choose to heat my home with wood, partly because it doesn't contribute to this process. Wood is a plant, obviously. It takes carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. When that tree dies, the body of the tree would decay and decompose, and the carbon dioxide would come back. So basically, if it's just a matter of a tree living and dying, we're in this part of the carbon cycle. That tree would die whether I burn it or not in maybe 100 years, maybe longer. And so we're not really adding to the amount of carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere. If I instead burn, propane or gas or something in order to heat my home, then I'm taking ancient fossil fuels and adding more carbon to today's atmosphere. So that's the difference. Anyway, we have to stop doing this, and we have to do it soon. Thanks. Let me know if you have any questions.